Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are taking a massive 56-question historical quiz and turning it into a real journey through the lives of the Sahaba, the Prophet Muhammad's companions. We're not just going to rattle off dates and names. We're going to dig into the wild transformations, the deep stories, and the global impact of these incredibly remarkable people. Take a second and ask yourself, how much do you really know about these foundational figures of Islamic history? Like, we hear their names all the time, right? But who were they as actual people? You've got fierce warriors, master diplomats, profound scholars, and even royal kings. These individuals literally laid the groundwork for a civilization that stretched across the globe. So today, we're going to test your knowledge and honestly probably surprise you with some historical facts you've never heard before. To make sense of all this, we've broken today's explainer down into 5 main areas. The first, Muslims, the Prophet's family and relatives, former enemies turned great heroes, unique titles, and finally, the Sahabas' global footprint. Let's get right into it. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the first Muslims. We're looking at the brave individuals who broke completely new ground to embrace the message, usually at massive personal risk. Just look at the sheer diversity of these early adopters. It's amazing. You've got Khadija, the pioneering first woman and the Prophet's wife, leading the entire way in Mecca. You have young guys like Musab ibn Umayr stepping up. And then over in Medina, the movement just broadens out. You've got Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. And get this, Abdullah ibn Salam, who was a highly respected Jewish scholar before he accepted the faith. It really just goes to show how the message resonated across totally different ages, genders, and intellectual backgrounds right from the spark of inception. Moving right along to Section 2, the Prophet's family and relatives. You know, when a new movement starts, family dynamics can get pretty complicated, and the Prophet's own household was no exception. Look at this stark contrast. On one hand, you have his uncles Hamza and Abbas, who became these legendary pillars of support. But then on the exact opposite side, you have Abu Lahab, who became one of his most bitter enemies, and Abu Talib, who fiercely protected him but at the end of the day never accepted the faith himself. It's a really powerful reminder that belief isn't something that's just passed down by blood. Okay, quick trivia time based on our source text today. Which of the mothers of the believers was known as the absolute most knowledgeable and who had the tragically shortest marriage before passing away? Got a guess? Let's see if you're right. So how'd you do? Aisha, as you probably guessed, was totally renowned for her vast knowledge, narrating thousands of traditions. But sadly, Zainab bint Khuzaimah passed away very shortly after her marriage. The sources also highlight some really interesting physical and historical traits, like Sauda being known as the tallest of his wives, and of course Khadija holding the monumental honor of being the absolute first person to accept Islam. Now, looking beyond his immediate household, there were other deeply connected family figures. You have his foster mother, Halima, his cousin Jafar, who famously looked a lot like him. And then there's Ayman. Her story just hits so hard. She experienced the incredible joy of witnessing his birth, and then the profound, heartbreaking sorrow of witnessing his passing. She was there for the whole shebang. That brings us to Section 3. And honestly, this is where history starts to feel like a Hollywood blockbuster. Former enemies to great heroes. The dramatic irony here is honestly unbelievable. You have Abu Jahl and Al-Walid. These two were, without a doubt, the most bitter, dangerous opponents of early Islam. But look at who their sons became. Ikramah and Khalid bin Walid totally transformed from enemies into literally some of the greatest military commanders the faith ever saw. Khalid bin Walid even earned the title, the Sword of Allah. It just goes to prove that your future is never set in stone, no matter who your family is. And the transformations don't stop there. This list is wild. Suhail ibn Amr went from being the tough opponent negotiating against the Muslims at Hudaybiyah to actually joining them. Amr ibn al-As became a master diplomat for the faith. But the most shocking one, Sumama ibn al-Wasal. The man literally showed up with the express intention of assassination, was captured, treated with immense kindness, and left as a totally devoted believer. No way you could script a better testament to the power of character. All right, diving into Section 4. Titles and unique honors. Some companions had titles and bonds that were just completely one of a kind. These unique distinctions are absolutely incredible. Abu Ubaidah was named the most trustworthy of the nation. Zubair was the special disciple. Hubayb actually started the solemn tradition of praying 2 rak'ahs right before execution. But look super closely at Zayd bin Haritha. Out of tens of thousands of companions, he holds the absolute unique honor of being the only one explicitly mentioned by name in the Quran. What a towering legacy to leave behind. While titles are really impressive, this quote right here just hits completely different. The Prophet spoke these exact words to Mu'adh bin Jabal before sending him off on a mission. I love you. Perhaps we will not meet again after this year. It is heartbreakingly beautiful. It shows the deep emotional weight and the massive love they shared. They weren't just followers, they were deeply, deeply cherished friends. And speaking of spiritual gravity, you cannot overlook Sa'd bin Mu'adh. According to the source text, his devotion was so exceptionally pure that when he passed, the divine throne of Allah literally shook. I mean, it is hard to even fathom a higher spiritual honor being recorded in human history than that. Now, take a look at this number. Over 5,000. That represents the staggering amount of hadith, the sayings of the Prophet, narrated by just one single man, Abu Hurairah. And what's crazy is his personal background. He went from being completely homeless, literally living in the mosque, to becoming one of the most prolific scholars in history, and eventually a governor. His sheer dedication is the reason we have a massive portion of Islamic knowledge preserved today. Finally, we reach Section 5, the Sahabas' footsteps worldwide. We're going to look at just how far they traveled, blowing past the borders of the Arabian Peninsula. Now, since we're talking geography, let's address a super popular local question that pops up in our source document. Given how much Islam spread in the subcontinent, did any of the companions actually ever set foot in the territory of modern-day Bangladesh? Well, despite it being a very popular local legend, the answer is no. Our source material makes it totally clear there is zero authentic, reliable historical proof of a companion ever visiting the Bengal region. It's really important to separate historical fact from fond folklore, which is exactly why we do these explainers. But hey, just because they didn't make it to Bangladesh doesn't mean their travels weren't mind-blowing. I mean, look at this spread for the 7th century. You've got Abu Ayyub al-Ansari buried at the walls of Istanbul, Haram resting in Cyprus, Ubadah ibn Samit near Masjid al-Aqsa, and accounts even point to Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas leading preaching missions all the way out in China. They literally walked the edges of the known world. And this global reach wasn't just physical, it was diplomatic. You even have foreign royalty joining the ranks. King Anajashi, the Christian ruler of Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia, gave sanctuary to early persecuted Muslims. He eventually embraced Islam himself, earning the super unique status of being a companion from afar. It really proves the message transcended borders and royal courts. So, we've powered through the core of this 56-question history. Out of everything we covered today, from those dramatic enemy transformations to the staggering global journeys, how many did you actually know beforehand? Their dedication and unwavering resilience really just stand out, don't they? Ultimately, the lives of the Sahaba prove that no matter your background or where you start, your legacy is defined by your choices and your character. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Explainer. Keep exploring, keep learning. And as you look at these magnificent stories hidden right beneath the surface of history, ask yourself this: whose legacy from today's journey inspires you to change the course of your own life?